Hi, welcome back to 3D modeling a longboard in Fusion 360. Today we're going to be working on the second part of our skateboard build. So we're going to be building a truck base. In this first part of this tutorial, we're going to be building out the first part of the truck base. So there'll be two parts of the truck, two bushings, and then a kingpin and a nut that will go on the end. So we're going to build out the base plate first, and we're going to build this in 13 steps. So the first part that we're going to build is this outside profile of our shape here, and then we're going to extrude that. So let's get started. I'm going to edit this sketch so I can reference the dimensions that I have, and then we'll get started building. So look at this from the front. Create a new sketch. We're going to use this front plane. I'm going to come forward 40 inches or 40 millimeters. Up 5. Back 2. And then we're going to just rough out the rest of this profile and then add the dimensions that we need to finish up the sketch. Okay. So something you need to take note of is that these lines coming up at a slant, they're going to be 50 degrees, and so we can set the angle on both of them. To do that, we'll click one line, then our baseline, and then click in between them for this to be set at 50 degrees. And it looks like these two lines are parallel. The next thing we want to draw, or next dimension we want to create, is setting this at 10 millimeters. And then we'll come back and reference the other heights that we have. $17,074. Okay, here are the dimensions that we need to add to our sketch. Let me pull one up out of the way so that we can see it's kind of hidden right here. So, if we look at it, we can see I started from the middle and then I worked my way around. And these 50-degree angles are very important for what we're going to be doing for the rest of our sketch. Now what we're also going to need to do is we're going to need to create two construction lines, one that's running parallel to this line coming up this way, and then another line perpendicular off of this line here, so that we can start creating the angles where our kingpin's going to go. And remember, you can hit tab to create different types of measurements, so 67 or what have you. Let's see. Oh, we'll just call it 60 for now. And then I'm going to get rid of this because we're going to use this line to help us determine the height of our axle, where this is going to sit. So we know this is 50 degrees, and then we want to take the end of our line here and select this line, and we're going to midpoint them. Okay, so this puts us right in the center, and then it's coming up at an angle. We're also going to draw a little circle up here, that's where our axis is going to sit. This will also be a construction line. And then the final line we're going to create is coming straight or perpendicular to this line at 45 degrees, and this is where our kingpin is going to go. And see, it already made a perpendicular angle. So if we were to measure this, this would say this is 90 degrees. Okay? And this should also be a construction line. It looks a little bit busy right now, but it's all going to make sense once we start extruding. Let's hit Finish Sketch and look at the profile that we've created. We're now going to take this profile and extrude it symmetrically. Using the extrude tool, we're going to extrude, looking at our menu here, symmetrically. So in direction, we'll hit symmetric, and then we're going to change our direction to 12.5 millimeters, and see how it brought it left and right the same distance. And it'll be a new body, and then we can click OK. Once this operation is complete, we're going to use the shell tool in Modify. So we'll click our drop-down menu in Modify, select Shell. And then we can select the body that we just created. So using this drop-down menu over here in our browser, we select Body 1, and then we change our inside thickness to 5 millimeters. And so that is making an opening on the inside that's 5 millimeters, and we'll have a wall thickness of 5 millimeters. But we need to do some additional cuts so that we can see what's going on inside first. Let's stop now, save our work, and we'll call this Skateboard Truck Build November. Save. Our next step is going to be drawing the base plate for our truck here, and that will join this body and then also give us a path for us to do an extrude cut. So let's look at this shape from the bottom. We'll select our bottom plane and create a new sketch. We're going to draw the outside of our base plate, and the dimensions for this are 80 millimeters wide, and our width is 52.2 millimeters tall. And since we did this rectangle about an origin, everything moves from the center here, and so it stays fixed to this point here in the middle. We're going to create one more rectangle using the center rectangle, and this is going to serve as a guide for the holes that we need to create for our base plate. So let's select the lines that we just drew on this rectangle, and we're going to change these to construction lines. So our first width is 41.275. And then our second dimension is, let me double check, is 63.5. Using this construction line, we're going to create two 5 millimeter circles that we're going to use for holes to cut through our base plate. Let's draw a second one, and we're just connecting them to the corner of this construction line or this rectangle that we've created. We're also going to add a third hole that's 5 millimeters, and we're going to add one more dimension to there. So selecting this front edge of, or the center of the circle on the left hand side, and then the center of the last circle that we drew. The dimension for this is 53.975. And we hit enter. Next, we're going to mirror this feature. So we need to create a center line first. Turn the center line into a construction line, just to keep things clean so that we can work fluidly. We're going to create a new mirror. We're going to select the circles that we created, and we're going to mirror them about this center line here. Oops, looks like that one got selected too. So we have our circles, we're going to mirror about this line, and it mirrors, and we have circles popping up on the other side. We'll hit OK, and then we're going to create one more rectangle from a center point, center rectangle. And this is what we're going to use as an operation on the inside to cut out a hole. So this is going to be 15 millimeters wide, and we will set the width of this in 1 second. Do a little math in our heads. Okay, so the dimension for this will be 70. So that leaves us 5 millimeters on each side. So we'll have this box that we're going to use to cut into our shape, and that's perfect. That is all the parts that we need. So we're going to hit Finish Sketch, and then we're going to extrude what we just drew. And we're going to join this here, and then we're going to go up 5 millimeters. So let's rotate what we're looking at to make sure that it went up. Nope, went the wrong direction. We're going to hit -5, and now our base plate is up in the right direction, and it's connected to the body that we previously made. So we can hit OK now. Let's turn that sketch back on, and we're going to create one more operation. So we're going to select Extrude, and then using this rectangular profile that we drew in the middle of our sketch, we're going to bring that up 5 millimeters. And that'll allow us to start seeing what's going on the inside. Now we can select this face here, and this is a shortcut so I don't have to draw another sketch. We'll select the face, click Extrude, and then we're going to just pull that straight out so that we have that end shape that I was talking about before here in the back. So I'm going to center my object, and we can see that I made this cut here in the back, that when I rotate around, you can see it's going into the part. Let's hit save. Step 5 is drawing the kingpin hole. So this is what holds your truck and the base plate together. So we're going to select the long face on our base plate. When it turns blue, we can create sketch, and it'll orient the view or the camera so that we're looking straight at this surface. We will create a line right up the middle, and then we're going to turn that into a construction line. Here we have a place to create our hole, and this circle is going to be 5 millimeters because we're going to use a 5 millimeter pin. We're going to now turn on sketch 1, and we're going to select the center of our circle, or this line and then the center of the circle, and then we're going to coincident them. Nope, didn't work. There we go. So the center of the circle and then the end of the line. It's a little bit faint, so it's hard to see. And now these 2 points are coincidented. And so this line that's perpendicular to this face is where our kingpin is going to follow. So we're just starting to create the profiles necessary for us to extrude a bolt. So we've drawn this circle. We can click Finish Sketch, turn off Sketch 1, zoom in. We're going to extrude. We're going to do another extrude cut. So once this gets to 5 millimeters, we've completely gone through the body, and then we can hit OK. And we can see now that we can see completely through this part from both sides. Hit save. Okay, now that we've completed that operation, we're going to fillet 4 edges so that we can start to refine our overall base plate. So we're going to use the fillet tool, and we're going to select these 2 outside edges, and then we're going to turn the part upside down and select the 2 parts inside. So these 2 short pieces here. So that once this starts to come down and round, this fillet feature should be 6 millimeters. So when we look at it from this back view, we see that it's making this curve, and the top view has a curve as well. Okay, so we're starting to rough out our overall shape of this base plate. Let's hit OK. We're going to create one more fillet operation on the front edge, selecting these 2 points here, and we want this to be completely rounded. So let's see, let's go to 12. 12.5, nope, 12.25. So 12 is the maximum that we can fillet this part. So this edge is now rounded, but differently from the fillet that we added to the back side of this. Go ahead and hit save so we don't lose the progress that we've made. Before we fillet the rest of these corners, we're going to add one more profile. So let's turn on Sketch 1 and then select this half circle face here. We're going to create a new sketch, and then we're going to draw a circle that is, let's see, 8 millimeters. And we'll have an 8 millimeter pivot point. So if we angle this a little bit, we see that my circle has been made perpendicular to the line that's coming straight up for our axle. And then we can click OK. Our next step is to create a sphere using this profile. That is 8 millimeters. Whoa, not 800. And we're going to use a cut operation so that it cuts a hole, so it's a spherical hole that's inside of this base plate. And then we can click OK. So as we look around, we can see that this is indented in, and it's following, or is perpendicular to the line that's going to help us to start building our truck. Let's hit save. And then this final operation will be to turn our sketches off, and then we're going to come around and add a fillet to the different edges here. So let's select this face. We're going to do a 1 millimeter fillet and see how it added a fillet to everything we're working with here. We're going to do the same thing and select this bottom face. Alright, add a new face. This one. Nope, not that. There we go. Let's cancel that. Add a new face, 1 millimeter. Okay. And we're starting to add a fillet on all of these edges. We're going to add another fillet. Select this edge. And then we're going to work our way around this profile. So let's change our view so we can see it a little bit better. So I've selected the top edge of this profile, and we're going to make this 1 millimeter as well. And in this operation, we can do several fillets and add different dimensions to them. So we'll grab these two inside here. We're going to set these at 2 millimeters, and that filleted there. We will add 2 more, so 1 here and 1 here. This will be 1 millimeter. And then I want to add a fillet to this back surface. So we'll select the surface. We'll select this surface here, type in 1. And now we've created a fillet all the way around this part, so everything has a nice curved edge. So we will click OK, and then save. We've completed the base plate that we're working on, and our next steps will be to build out the truck.